You've probably heard the phrase coin renaissance, whether it's myself, Allison, or Alex, a couple of times every evening. And it dates back to the transition from our old coin designs to all of them being unique. It started with the St. Gaudens in '07. Then we had the Lincoln Cent Buffalo Nickel. Big year was 1916 when the Mercury Dime, Standing Liberty Quarter, and Walking Liberty Half Dollar all emerged on the front. Prior to that, everything was identical. We had the Seated Liberty series where we had a half dime, a dime, 20-cent piece, quarter, half dollar, and occasionally a dollar, all the same design. But then in the 1890s, we moved to, well, that Barber design, the last of its kind. And tonight, we have a great buy, only a couple of minutes, but look at the typeset and look at the price. That's the price for the three-piece set. We're at $34.95, and that includes the dime, the quarter, and the half dollar, the end of the series, right? So the dollar at that time was the Morgan dollar, and it ended. The Morgan dollar ended in 1904, brought back in 1921. That was its own unique design. But in 1892, we introduced a revision of our Seated Liberty series. And the designer of the coin was Charles E. Barber, just like the Morgan dollar being George T. Morgan, nicknamed the Morgan, Barber nicknamed after the designer Barber. Okay? It's the same size. Nope, it's the same design, sized up from the dime, and then you get the quarter and the half dollar with variations of what the reverse looks like itself. Now these are all 90% silver. Right? 0.900 fine U.S. coin silver. They date between the ranges. And we put the ranges on the holder because they all ended slightly different. Some of these ended in 1915. The others ended in 1916. Just kind of the name of the game for these coins at that time in history. All beautiful circulated. And again, that price is for all three. So let's just break this down. My competition is currently selling the quarter by itself, the coin right in the middle, for $39.95. They are selling the half dollar on the far right for $60 by itself. If you buy all three of them, and they'll come to you in a flip, not beautiful packaging like you're seeing here, they're at $119 and change. This buy we had at the last show, we sorted out all the coins, took all the really nice looking circulated pieces and put them together here as what we call a typeset. It's a design with the three different sizes used, the end of the era for normalcy, I guess, for U.S. coins. Now, again, the reverse is the one dime, the eagle, but the front is the Barber. And it's not a Lady Liberty, it's actually Lady Liberty wearing a Phrygian cap with the laurel wreath around it. And again, that design was supposed to be liberty in thought. Remember the roaring 90s and the early part of the 1900s? The whole idea was our growth, the start of the Industrial Revolution, and just changeover. Remember the Seated Liberty series, which was most of the 1800s, was Lady Liberty sitting on a rock with a shield. Very simple, very clean, a beautiful design. But the idea was to take it and change, right? Not much different than what we did with the Mercury Dime in 1916, right? So we took the idea and just pushed it a little bit further. So again, you see the laurel wreath, say that fast 3 times, wrapped around the cap itself on the head of Lady Liberty here. So it's kind of like the end of an era in U.S. coinage. From this point, again, this is the end of that era. From 1916 forward, everything has had its own identity, right? Now, the Lincoln has had a number of changes on the reverse. It used to be the Buffalo Nickel, now it's the Jefferson, right? We have the Mercury Dime, then we went to the Roosevelt. We had the Standing Liberty Quarter, we went to the Washington Quarter. We had the Walking Liberty Half Dollar, to the Franklin, to the Kennedy, which is now 60 years and going. So every denomination has its own unique being. But again, this was the time before cell phones. This was the time before television. This was the time before fax machines or things of this nature. If you saw a picture of something, most likely it was localized or it was a rendering. An artist did a lot of the working for them, like you would maybe see in the old court cases where somebody be drawing the person on the stand. So knowing if the coins were real or not was why these coins existed this way. If they all look the same and that's our national look, that's what we're moving forward with. Information and communication changed drastically in the early 1900s, and that's the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say it. But tonight it's about history, it's about our past, it's about crazy looking coins, crazy good, and then tonight even more so the packaging on top of the pricing. And I bring the packaging up because all the private packaging we're seeing out there in the industry today is for certified coins, whether it's ICG, ANAX, NGC, PCGS. They're all driven towards those holders. So what do we do with our vintage coins that we don't want to certify for whatever our own reasons are? And we came up with this Defender holder. That's the name of the holder. So when you search our website, avccoins.com, and you put in the word Defender, you'll get all the coins that have holders very similar. And with our great graphics department, they make a label, stick to the label, and that way everything comes out homogeneous for you. Guys, give me a 30-second clock. We're getting down to the last couple. Quantities? No. If you want to buy a couple of sets, what a great collection to sit down with that special person. Grandson, granddaughter, daughter, son, friend, and just talk about the history of what was going on in the 1890s and early 1900s. That's how I learned collecting coins with my grandfather. Maybe many of you had similar experiences. But tonight, on top of everything else, we're at $34.95 for the 3-piece set. My competition's over almost $120. That just is a value too good to pass up on. We're thrilled to have it, but it's time for us to be moving on.